Hello guys, this is More Nyazungu. Welcome to the Chartered Vendor Podcast. This is where we talk business, we talk anything business, how we can actually grow our business in this kind of environment. So today, as we are approaching the end of year, it has been a dramatic year, a tiresome year. We started off in January. I think I was hanging out with Shami. Shout out to Shami Search Karate. I had a lot of guests on this show and we were talking about business, we talked about sales, we talked about human resources, we talked about accounting, we talked about financial management and a lot of topics. So yes, as we are approaching the end of year, we've got many questions. Most of the companies are closing, some are shutting down, but I'm happy because in my native country, Zimbabwe, I think people have woken up. I haven't had a lot of businesses which are saying that they are closing this year. In previous years, people would close 15 days before the year ends. And they would close down, shut down everything. But I think I've posted on my Facebook and I was saying, you look at Museyama Enterprise or Chirumanzu Investments, they are quick to close down their businesses and they open probably on the 3rd of January, closing for 2 or 3 weeks. But if you ever noticed that big businesses like Zimbabwe, Pick and Pay, your Econet Zimbabwe, all these large entities, even your Drip Tank, etc., those businesses, they don't close. So what's the secret? Why is that small to medium enterprises are quick to enjoy the holiday, are quick to go for a holiday, but they're the ones who will be suffering in January? As why my white brothers have said January is not easy, and us blacks we had like they were saying January disease. So most of the business they will be now in January disease. What is the real problem? Why are we closing our businesses? So effect number one is I've heard people commenting and say, no, just because they want their employees to rest and they also want to rest since it's owner managed. And they've also said big companies, they don't pay what. But to me, I think the reason why these big businesses, they can afford to open whilst it's on holiday is because they've got structures, they've got people. Like for example, I'll give you an example. For example, if you're going to look for Econet, there's no way when you're going to an Econet shop, you don't look for an individual, but you just get into an Econet shop. Wherever is in the Econet shop is going to save you. So the problem with small businesses, because small businesses, we don't want to employ. We don't want to have teams. We rely usually, probably it's just one person, 2 people. So it's very difficult for all these people to work, for these 2 people to work throughout the holiday. So hence, small businesses, they do close. Then yes, there are also small businesses which now probably 30 to 50 people. Those businesses also, they're quick to close. They're quick to close as well, just because they've heard that no, end of the year we're supposed to do a shutdown. But let me tell you, business is never going to sleep. This is the right time to actually do business. And some people have said holidays are actually thieves of time. It's a trap. The reason why we've got a holiday, we've got a long holiday, especially us in Zim, we've got a Unity Day on the 22nd, we've got Christmas holidays 25, 26, some are going to extend it to the 27th, you never know. And also, we've got 1 January, it's holiday. So all these days, we are never going to gain them. Remember, we were in 2020 in March, we had COVID-19 and we had a forced shutdown. Business wasn't doing well in 2020. Business wasn't doing well in 2021. It was affected, I think better part of those 2 years was heavily affected by COVID-19. But I'll tell you a secret. That's the year, or those are the years which we actually gained momentum, are the years which we gained a lot of market share. Why? Because most of the people were relaxing. Most of the people retreated when COVID-19 started. So beware to actually walk into a trap. As we are getting into 2023, make sure that you are geared for the year. You've strategized in order for you to get into that year with a punch. So for me personally, I'll be working throughout the holiday. I'll be doing what is supposed to be done throughout the holiday. That's the time to strategize. That's the time to recharge the batteries. That's the time to actually think and analyze what happened, or where we went wrong, or where we actually excelled in 2022. So I'll tell you, we lost 2 years. So is it necessary? Just think about it, to just close down when we lost a lot of time. I think during those times, people were now applying to move around. People were actually applying through the government, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, to do business. So right now it's free, but people are closing shop. People have closed shop. You know, we lose a lot of time because of weekends. We lose a lot of time because of holidays. Just remember that in a whole year, we've got 52 weeks. So it means if we are going to rest 2 days, probably in a year, we've got about 365 days. So if you rest, if you take your Saturdays and Sunday, which means there are 2 days in a week, how many days are you losing? You're losing probably 104 days. So if you subtract those 104 days into 365, you're going to notice that you're going to be remained with about 261 productive days in a year. So if you're also going to take all these holidays, probably 10 to 20 days in a year, you're losing out. You don't have the luxury to do that, especially if someone is starting, you're a vendor, you're out there, you're still starting your business from scratch. This is not time to rest. You don't have the audacity or the temerity to actually get into a holiday, to get into a mute mode. This is not the time. It's the time to work extra hard. It's the time to actually do that foundation very well. Time to relax is going to be there. So my advice to business is, business should not sleep. Business mustn't rest. Yes, people can rest, but business should continue. Even I think I had an opportunity to get to talk to people, also visit countries like China. Those people, they don't rest. The economy in China doesn't sleep. That's the reason why they are always at the top of their game. They are busy thinking of their next move. They are busy strategizing. They work like there is no tomorrow. That's the reason why they are very, very successful. We close shop. I'm actually surprised personally. Like, why do we even close banks at 3 p.m.? What for? Why do we close banks at 3 p.m.? In this time, yes, I understand when we say we're closing banks probably in the 90s, in the early 2000s, before technology. But right now, I think most of the banks, they are now running on technology. There are now very few reconciliations which needs to be done manually. So why are we still closing our banks at 1500 hours, whilst also most of the companies haven't even deposited their monies? Most of the companies are shutting down businesses 1700 hours, but boom, 1500 hours, the bank is already closed. We have to revise that. We should start to emulate or to copy what is being done by China. We should start copying what is being done by the European countries. Yes, some of the countries, they now have time to relax, but do we have that time as Africa? Do we have that time as Zimbabwe? I think as Zimbabwe, we are actually behind other countries, probably by 30 or 40 years. So we need to cover up. If we are going to create wealth for our next generations, if we are going to create better life for our generations, I think the time is now. Like what is happening, the revolution which is happening in Rwanda, there are people who are sacrificing their time. There are people who are sacrificing their all for Rwanda to be where it is today. So if Zimbabwe needs to step up, if Zimbabwe is going to create a proper economy, if you're going to create there's a proper economy, there's no time to rest. We should get hands on, utilize each and every second which we have. I've heard of successful people. I've heard of successful countries. I've read stories about Qatar, where there was World Cup. Congratulations to China, to Argentina, by the way. I think Messi is the GOAT. Anyway, that's the story of another day and the debate of another day. You look at the countries like Qatar. You look at all those UAE. You look at your Dubai. You look at those places. They were deserts, but within short space of time, they've managed to build a good economy. They've managed to build some of the best destinations in this world. I had an argument when the World Cup was happening. People arguing that no, I think we're going to come. I think especially European countries are going to say no. I think Qatar was violating human rights. People were being overworked. People were working for more hours. But that's the spirit. That's why they managed to actually host this World Cup, because there was no rest. People were working very, very hard for those infrastructures to be established. So as Africa, or as Zimbabwe, as Zambia, I believe that we must change our mindsets in terms of our mentality towards work. We should start work very hard. I think those who have worked for Chinese companies, they can appreciate this. Those people, they don't rest just because it's now time to go home. They rest because they finished the task. So if we start adopting that as Africa, if we start adopting that as Zimbabwe, I believe we've got a long way to go. We just need to put hours. We just need to put, if we really want to dominate your sector, please, there's no way you're going to do it without putting hours. I'm not saying people mustn't rest, but I am saying companies mustn't rest. Companies can still open, people can rest, but company can still work. So guys, as we're actually getting into 2023, what's the plan? What's the strategy? I just want to say, outwork everyone. Always show up. Magic will actually happen. Always show up in the market. Utilize your hours in the market. You have more hours in front of clients. You have more calls. Do everything in abundance, and I tell you, there's going to be magic. The same thing is going to happen if you're going to put all your sweat, if you're going to put all your effort in try to achieve those goals. Yes, you can start as a vendor. You can start even just a one person operating a business. Please, this is not time to rest. You are not your OK. You are not your Econet. Those companies, they are able to pay salaries even for 12 months without selling anything in their company. But do you have the comfort of doing so when you're operating on hand to mouth? So guys, please, I plead with you, it's not time to rest. Yes, it's holiday. We need to rest. People need to rest. But I believe that business mustn't rest. People must continue to think. People must continue working very, very hard in order for us to achieve that Zimbabwean dream. In order for us to achieve that vision, if we're saying Vision 2030, it's never going to be achieved by just speaking, by writing a lot of manuals. It's going to be achieved by implementing. So we need to start implementing that vision. We need to start working hard. Change that mindset as Zimbabweans. Change that mindset as Africans. And Zimbabwe can be great again. So guys, I wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. But remember, it's going to happen because of us. We are the better. We are going to be the best people. If people are going to remember us as the generation which changed things for Africa, is going to be us. So guys, until next time, we can meet again next week. Bye bye for now. It's Jerry out. So guys, this is holiday. These are Christmas, New Year holidays. Please stay safe. Make sure that you don't drink, you don't drive. You should stay safe. We need you next year, guys. So please, when you're driving on our roads, don't speed, don't drink beer before you get to the steering. So guys, I think I can be the best nation. Let us avoid getting into trouble. So until next time, guys, thank you. Bye bye for now.